Tim Petrowich here for Dateline Marion, and our guest today is Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. And today we get to talk about Week 9 in just a moment. Amazingly, Week 9. It always goes fast every year.
Yep.
But first we want to talk about Week 8, because Week 8 was pretty darn good.
It was a good week.
Homecoming game, and the Wildcats got a 14-7 win over Carbondale.
Good game, hard-fought game. And Carbondale really came to play, and I was expecting their best, and boy, we sure got it. And Coach Lee had his kids ready, and his staff did a great job of preparing their football team. And I think they came out looking like a little hungrier team than us. I thought we were a little bit in homecoming mode maybe at the beginning of the ball game, but a good goal line stand and a nice wedge run by our defensive tackle James Gunn, I think, got us a little spark, and I think that we kind of woke up and played better football. But like I said, a lot of credit goes to Carbondale for a well-fought game, and they played well. But our defense, again, had a great night. And I think more than anything, our offense did enough to win, but our defense won that game for us.
Now, I think we got to talk about the defense because, as much as, Carbondale got the lead and what they did, they were able to move the ball to a certain extent. The only scoring drive they had came on a 28-yard drive after a short punt.
Right.
And the rest of the day, they did get to the goal line. You had the goal line stand. But on their last 3 possessions, you made fourth down stops to turn the ball over.
Yeah, it just big plays at big times. I think you told me after the game, I think they were 5 for 26 passing.
Correct.
I think they're a pretty good passing football team. And,
yeah.
And I think that's a big part of our success was the fact that we were able to play great pass defense. And I think we did a good job of containing their quarterback, who's an excellent runner, great athlete. So our defense did some really good things and did some key things at key times in the game. And I think some big plays on fourth down and third down really helped us out. And offensively, we moved the ball at times and had some decent drives, but found a way to come up short. But boy, I was very impressed with how consistent our defense played for 4 quarters. It was a good night.
Football's a game of momentum, and we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
You got the ball and had a chance to score first. The first drive you were moving the ball pretty well and mishandled a pitch, and it just really shifted the momentum into Cardinals.
That was a good drive for us, and we felt good about it. We were moving the ball at a pretty good clip, and then of course those things happen, but just didn't look it in, and they kind of capitalized on that, and that momentum, boy, it can change in a hurry, and any turnovers can be a big momentum change, as can a goal line stand or a special teams play. And in that case, I felt like that was a big shift for us, losing the momentum there of that drive, because I felt like we were on our way to score.
You talked about the way Jaquiba Burley could run the ball. We knew he could throw the ball, and you did a good job there. But he had a lot of yards in the first half, and then in the second half, he really seemed to kind of be shut down a little bit. Was there any particular adjustment you made, or was it just following assignments you were supposed to follow?
A little bit of everything. I think Coach Dunning made some adjustments. He and Coach Wimberly and Coach Warner made some adjustments on defense. I think our kids did a better job by correcting some mistakes they made in the first half and the way they approached him. And I think, so I think it wasn't really one thing. I think just a couple of different things probably helped us out. But, it was they found a weakness on the weak side of our defense, and I think they exploited that. And they guessed right one time on a call that we made, and we had to fix that. But those things happen. I thought just the rest of the game, I felt from the mid-second quarter on, our kids did a much better job of containing him and keeping him, from getting outside and getting around the edge and getting big plays off his running.
I looked at some of the stats for the game, and 14-7. Each team had the same number of first downs. Total yardage was in about, I think, 30 yards of each other.
Wow.
You did have a little bit of an advantage in the passing. They had a little bit of an advantage in the running.
Right.
But for the most part, the stats were very similar, and it was a very close football game, which is something that, has been typical of Marion Carbondale at times.
Yeah.
But with both teams having similar records, it really meant a lot more.
Yeah, I think so. And I think back to several ball games. We won one year over there on a late long run by Mitchell Bartle on a pitch we made for a long touchdown run. I know a few years ago, we went over there and made some turnovers, and Coach Kester, I think, was their head coach at the time. His son was playing, and he was a really good football player, went on to do some track stuff at SIU. But, I mean, there were years we've had some battles with them. We've had some battles here. So, I mean, we've had some close games, and I think it's one of those things, regardless of record, is a rivalry there that I think elevates the play of both teams. And I think that's kind of the way it's always going to be. And I think we bring out the best in each other. And I think you're right. It was a very evenly matched statistically. Even the scoreboard was evenly matched. I think the ball game could have gone either way. But yeah, good high school football game in some pretty adverse conditions. The early rain was heavier than I think we all anticipated. I don't know that it affected the outcome of the game. Both teams, I think, handled it pretty well.
You brought it up earlier. Let's talk about it. The run by James, and he got going when he gets ahead of steam. And we've talked earlier about he's pretty quick for as big as he is, and when he gets ahead of steam, he's really hard to bring down.
James Gunn is not what I would label a lineman at all. James Gunn's an athlete. He can throw a football. He can catch a football. He can shoot a basketball. He can handle a basketball. He can run. He's agile. I mean, for a guy that's 300 pounds plus, he is extremely athletic. I think he's got a career if he wants to play beyond high school. I think there's schools that would love to take a chance on him because I think he could be a really good player. He's a great kid. He's a good student. And James can flat play, and boy, he's come into his own this year. He's made some really nice plays on defense for us, and now he's playing some offensive line for us, and now he's playing running back.
Are you going to be able to give that up now? Or
I wouldn't hesitate at all to use him in a running situation as a fullback or up back, and I mean, he's an athlete. That's all I'm saying. And I think we've always prided ourselves on having linemen that are athletes first, and sometimes you just can't make an athlete out of certain kids, but we've had a lot of kids over the years that were pretty athletic for linemen, and he is certainly at the top of that list as far as being just a guy that can do a lot of things.
And now we need to talk about the play late in the game that wasn't a play that secured the win for the Wildcats. You referred to the freeze play on fourth down. They got the first down on the offsides penalty.
Well, we Jeff Tarleton is our coach on top, and he had made a suggestion before that last punt to give them the ball back with about a minute to go or so. He said, well, why don't you try to freeze them or draw them off sides, and you might get a guy to jump off sides. But a lot of times teams expect that when you bring your regular offense out on fourth down and you try to draw them off sides. You see it on TV every Sunday, every Saturday. So I was like, well, I don't know. I had a timeout left, wasn't sure, and then one of my players in the huddle came and looked at me, big-eyed, just Noah Mofield. He's never really suggested a play call before. He said, Coach, I got an idea. Let's run freeze, but let's do it out of our punt formation or one of our punt formations. And that made more sense. And he said to me, no, Coach, listen to me. He wanted my attention. He said, they're going to be cranked up to come and get the punt. They might even try to block it. So let's do it. Let's do the freeze out of our punt formation. And so I said, well, we got a timeout. If it doesn't work, we can just use it and get our regular punt on the field, our better protection punt. So we went with it, and we, using Noah's coaching advice, we went with freeze play out of our regular offense punt formation, and be danged if they didn't jump and give us the ball back, the first down, give us the ball back, kneel it down a few times, and call it a game. So we did not want to put the ball back in their hands again. And so, credit our shout out of the week goes to Noah Mofield.
There you go.
Yeah, big call for us in a big situation. I love it. I said to one of you guys in the paper, he was smart enough to think of it, and I was smart enough to say yes to it. So, because kids make suggestions all the time. You hear kids say, run this, Coach. Oh, Coach, this is there. You got to be careful, because sometimes the kid's heart's in the right place, but it's not the best call. But you're sometimes tempted to go with their instincts a little bit. But I just had a gut feeling. Noah was adamant, and I thought to myself, that sounds like a great idea. So I'm proud of him. It was awesome. I love to see our kids think like football players and think like coaches a little bit. See beyond your designated job as a player, see the big picture, and Noah saw the big picture.
So you head into week 9 now, a road game at Mattoon. This has been a fun series going back to, that I remember, back to a wild playoff game and one of those long playoff runs.
Yeah.
And, it's another game up there where there's serious playoff implications. And I don't think it's a situation where Mattoon won't get in if they don't win, because they're pretty stacked on playoff points too. But you've got a situation now where you're playing for a possible home game, and you're playing up there, and they're going to be hungry to get a win.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to be 5-4 for sure. They don't want.
You don't want to play Highland.
They don't want. That's the first thing probably on everybody's mind is they don't want to play Highland first round, and so they'll be motivated. It'll be senior night. They're playing for playoff implications, and just like we are, and even if one of us wasn't, I think it's usually a really good ball game. We have some wild affairs against each other, so I would expect a great game. He does a great job coaching those kids up, and they've got a lot of tradition there. And we've been playing them. I think my first year here, 2002, we might have played Mattoon early and lost in a very wet game here with a late fumble, and that game was wild and close. And maybe it's my second year, I can't remember, but we have had some shootouts here, some shootouts there. We had the second round playoff game in 2007. There have been some big ball games against them and exciting games. It's a really good matchup. They have great facilities up there. They always take good care of you, and it's a straight interstate shot, even though it's a long drive. So, we're looking forward to it. It'll be a nice way to end the season.
Now, they started out 5-1. They've lost their last 2 games, but against 2 pretty good teams in Taylorville and Effingham. And what I've seen from them numbers-wise is they do a little bit of both. They throw the ball a little bit. They run the ball a little bit. I think they're averaging a little more than 100 yards passing and about 200 and some yards rushing per game.
Yeah, I think the key is the quarterback. I mean, he's a returning starter. He's a talented, good-looking athlete. Big, tall kid, about 6'3", 205 pounds. I think they go as he goes. So it'll be key for us to contain him. He can run. I don't know that I would consider him a runner as much as he is a play extender. He will get out of the pocket, scrambler, extend the play, still thinking to throw first, then run. But he can run it, a little bit like Matt Brown did. And Matt Brown could run it a lot better than people think, but Matt was more interested in extending the play and getting the ball down the field to a receiver. And I think their quarterback is a lot like that. And that style of quarterback, we have seen a series of really good quarterbacks this year, guys that have some talent and abilities, so he's in one of many that we've seen that we've got to do a great job of containing.
Now, the one thing in the little bit of research that I've done that I've seen mentioned from time to time is that if there's a weakness in this Mattoon team, and I don't know if you've seen this on film or not, but it's up front in the offensive and defensive lines. And this is a place where Marion has been pretty solid all year.
Yeah, we came into the season thinking that our offensive and defensive lines would be a strong suit for us, and that has not changed. We've had a really good year with our guys up front, and so I'm hoping that's an advantage. And of course, film is sometimes hard to tell because you don't have common opponents to see and play, and so you don't know they're getting beat because of how good Effingham's line is or what. But I got my fingers crossed that our line can hold their own and at least control the line of scrimmage for us. And I think if that happens, that can be really good for us. But and they've done that. They've given us a chance in every game this year. I mean, even against a good team like Highland and Cahokia, our guys up front have had decent ball games and at times played very, very well. So we've got a big job ahead of us. We want to make sure we're finished strong and to go up there on the road. It'll be chilly again, but I know our fans will follow and go up there and try to get win number 7.
14 years in a row.
Yeah,
that's a lot of years.
It is a lot of years, and I think that streak is one of those things I'll really, really enjoy thinking about a lot once I'm done coaching after next year. And I think about, just on occasion I think about it, but I don't like to dwell on things like that because I think the next game is the most important game. But having someone say that our football players don't know or don't remember a year when Marion didn't make the playoffs, that's pretty awesome.
Well, there's freshmen that have not been alive longer than Marion last missed the playoffs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And again, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a school that supports athletics. It's a great coaching staff that has stayed relatively together for a long time. It's leadership from players who've established a legacy here of how things get done. A kid like Aaron Porter that we've talked about, who recently lost, but left a legacy of work ethic and character, and this is how it's done at Marion, and a whole bunch of others. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of parental support, buying into what we're trying to teach and do, and great facilities, and just, I mean, it's not one thing. It's a combination of a lot of things that allow something like that to happen. So we're proud of it, and it's something we can talk about now that we made it. But we talk about it in the off season, keeping that tradition alive. But I think this group is so ready to do more than just make it. They want to make it, and they want to advance. And so that's really this group's focus, is making it great. Let's win some playoff games, and let's give ourselves a chance.
And now Friday night, a good game Friday night, and the shape you're in as far as the situation with the playoffs, there's another chance for another game at Wildcat Stadium.
Yeah, that's a big incentive for us. I mean, we have been on the road some long trips, Petro. I mean, we have traveled the last few years, and so when you travel to Morris and you travel to Olympia Fields in Chicago, and you're on that bus, and we tried staying all night, and we tried not staying all night. We've done them both, and just to play at home would be awesome. And that 7-2 gives you that opportunity to do that. So we're very motivated. I think like that alone is giving ourselves the best chance we can to get that first round win and then take it from there.
And I want to add this, and I keep trying to figure out a way to close this, but I do want to add this, is that we talked early about the schedule, and now you go back and look at the schedule, and through 8 weeks, your opponents have 38 wins, which usually is enough to get you in the playoffs with 9 games if you're 5-4.
Right.
So you're gonna add to that this week.
Yeah, that's the big deal. You and I have spent a lot of time talking about we've had to adjust our schedule to play tougher people over the years, and there's been growing pains in that process. There's been some 5-4s and some 6-3s,
but you don't see very many teams with 7 wins and 40 playoff points.
Right, and so I think our program has taken some steps towards improving and adjusting to a tougher and tougher schedule as we've had to do. But we are literally treating the Mattoon game like a road playoff game. I told the kids, just prepare for it, play it, practice it, travel like it. Let's make this like a Friday playoff game to get ready for the playoffs, because this is a playoff caliber team that's going to probably get in the playoffs.
Right.
So let's treat it like a playoff game. Let's go up there and play a playoff game against Mattoon, and we're going to count this kind of in our mind unofficially as a first round game, and try to win this to play the second round at home.
You've already given one, but just another chance. Is another shout out you got?
That's it today. That's the only one I got right now. But I would just overall give a shout out to my defensive coaches, Coach Wimberly, Coach Dunning, the D coordinator, and Matt Warner have done a great job all season long. The best job I've seen here, watching our kids technique-wise on film, watching our kids do their assignments. I'm real proud of how far our defense has come this season. And with 9 starters back, we expected that a little bit, but they are playing really good football.
All right, Friday night, Marion's at Mattoon, kickoff at 7 o'clock. That's Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. For Dateline Marion, I'm Tim Petrowich.